Alrighty, everybody, we are here for first taste for the final major of the year, the Open Championship. Today we got Jim here joining me, victorious Jim, but we'll get to that a little bit later in a few minutes when our guest Louis also won this week, and not only that, but he lives about 10 miles away from the course, so I'm looking forward to talking with him about that. Aside from that, we have some really fun futures bets and more. Jim, what do you have to think about the Open? Are you pumped for it this year?
Yeah, very much so. It's kind of the last chance we have to cash some of these futures, which we've gone over for. You know, we spend all this time investing in these good numbers, and the good numbers are great and all, and we're doing great as far as value, but we've got to get a winner. Just like we talked about last week, we need an outright.
Yeah, I've had some incredible futures all year. Haven't hit them. Of course, you know what it means. Next week starts. Time to start betting 2027 Masters futures. So the cycle will continue. We're not going to waste any time because I really want to talk about the Scottish Open, and we cannot do that without the one and only PGALouis. Louis, welcome, sir.
How are we, guys? I'm very excited to be back on. I think I was here for the US Open preview last time. So, yeah, as you said, Birkdale isn't far from my house. Very exciting. And then, obviously, like you said, Scottish Open finale was a thriller this evening. So, yeah, really enjoyed it. I'm glad to be here, gents.
Now, how far away in kilometers are you from Birkdale, from your house?
I don't actually know how many. I think kilometers-wise, you're probably talking maybe 20 or so, but it's a 20-minute train journey. So I'm on the 6:30 a.m. train tomorrow to Hillside Station, and then that is straight to Birkdale, 5-minute walk. And it's tomorrow the 12-man qualifier. 12 players go for one spot. Okay. Wesley Bryan's playing, Pot Geeta's playing, Joe Dean, Hidalgo.
Pat Mayo would say.
Yeah, no, it'll be a really good day. So we're nice and early tomorrow. So
I do have a lot of questions about that. 20 kilometers, which for us dumb Americans, I think that's 1 mile. 12 miles. The only thing Americans know in distance is, for whatever reason, everything else is in miles, but 5K races are kilometers, and that's like the only reference.
The worst thing is, Larry, is that you can't do temperatures either. Everything's in Fahrenheit. Like, what about Celsius? You know what I mean? So,
or with like sizes either. I mean, the only thing we use kilograms for is cocaine, which we won't get into here. Everything else is pounds, so it's quite weird about that. But first, before we get on to Birkdale and the Open, I'm just going to leave for like 20 minutes, and you two can just hug each other. Congratulations to both of you. Huge wins on Tom Kim. You were practically apologizing, Louis, on Twitter for betting him all week, saying, I know he doesn't putt, I know, blah, blah, blah. And then he absolutely took it down.
Well, if you want to go see a roller coaster, go check out Louis' X timeline for the last 4 days. It's been awesome.
Yep.
Well, what I would say is that I do know how to cry in a winner. That's all I'm going to say. I was saying that Minwoo Lee's going to win. I said that Fitzpatrick's going to win. I said that McIntyre's going to win by 10 shots. But I think deep down, like watching it, I thought Tom Kim's ball striking might get him through this. But when he missed the 2-foot putt on 18 this morning, I set my alarm 6:45 a.m. I was in the pub last night watching the England game, so I was a little bit worse for wear. I'd got up, I watched all 18 holes, and I'm thinking, right, 2-foot par putt on the last, and then we'll see you in a few hours. He misses it. I go into meltdown mode. I'm saying he's not going to win this. He's gone. And then, his 18 today, I mean, one of the best ball striking performances I've seen in a final round in a long, long time. His putter was clutch when he needed it to. And look, he was by far the most deserving winner. I think Minwoo battled really well. He done really well to get up and down. I think it was on 16. And I thought maybe he's kind of kept the door open, but ultimately I don't think anyone can have any complaints that Tom Kim won this week, and he was well and truly the deserved winner.
Well, at least we'll have coverage over there too, Louis. Our coverage here stateside was awful. I got up at 3:30, and 4 o'clock came around, and they put the Evian on, which was fine. But
yeah,
there's got to be some kind of outlet so we can watch all the coverage in the third round going into the fourth
100%.
round.
Yeah, I think the weather screwed it up too, though, because Comcast is so annoying and all that. So, like, even though the window shifts, unless it's the final round, they usually won't even air it. Now we didn't need we need the victory lap for first taste. Jim, what was the price you got on Tom Kim? She got
92-1.
92-1, and
It was my first click for the week. Hold on one second, guys.
Yep. Yeah, but 92-1. So not only did he win, like Louis, what did you get him by the time you're?
I got 80-1 in Bet365, which I was very happy with. I think he ended up getting backed into about 50-1. So yeah, I think 80-1 was fair. I had 8 places each way as well, but he was my main bet for the week.
80-1 with 8 places is really good for the places.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. And so normally I try and win about probably £300 to £400 per tournament, but when I seen 80-1, I just did £10 each way, got back 980. So it was it did really work out well, and it doesn't always happen like that, as we all know. There's been a lot of heartbreaks over the years, and Tom Kim, he's not like, if that was someone like, let's say, maybe Fitzpatrick or maybe someone like McIntyre, especially in this home open, you'd expect that. But there were times during the afternoon today where I thought Tom Kim, he might just be a little bit too much for him, but he dealt with it like a pro. And I was delighted, honestly.
Yeah, it's interesting. Tom Kim, you had Max Homa last week. I think we could throw Min Woo in it because he hasn't really done anything this year. One thing you got to remember is don't get too caught up in recent results. Like, I know Tom Kim's actually been playing a little bit better now, but quality ultimately is still there in a player. JT Poston, who some people won't put in a higher class, but I would. These guys, recent form obviously is a factor in your handicapping. But at the same time, if there's an underlying quality to a guy and you see an opportunity for him, they can rise to the occasion without question. And so it's just interesting in that guys who've been beaten down for a year or longer are starting to show quality this year.
Victor Hovland's a prime example of that. Yep. He's not someone who kind of trends into form and wins. He normally wins off the back of a really poor performance. He goes away, he finds something on the range, he speaks to his coach, he does something with his putt and stroke. And as you said, the quality does, a lot of the time prevail. I think with Tom Kim, as you said, he had been playing well, and a lot of it was just confidence, I think, for Tom Kim, and that applies to a lot of players, your homers, I said Tom Kim. So going forward, I think if you see a player just kind of find a spark, whether it's a good tournament, whether it's a good round, then, they can take off with that 100%.
So what you're saying is Davis Riley's winning this week? Okay.
Well, the thing about Tom, too, is every time he was, Minwoo took a step forward, Tom stuck it to 6 feet. Like 16, which was 8 the last few years, was such a hard hole. And he just took that by the throat. And, And, I had Kurt Kitayama when he put it in the native area Saturday back in 2022. And that hole did him in on Saturday. And, Tom missed these short putts all week, but just kept weathering the storm and taking punches and kept going. So felt good, man. A little wire-to-wire chopped, which
oh, yes, indeed.
Congratulations, fellas. Now you have Wyndham at the U.S. as well, Louis, so you're on a heater right now.
Well, you know what? It's I think, very similar to players who kind of are in bad form, is that you can change it in a good few weeks. I think I was down for the year going into the US Open, and I'm now, I think, £1,400 up for the year. So it's, it's been a really good month. It doesn't always happen like this. So I think if you stick to your process, you're watching a lot of golf, you're looking at the stats, and, you have an informed opinion about it, then it will come good eventually. So it's all about being patient and not getting too carried away either way.
That's the key. I say it all the time with outright betting is you have to take a long view. If you're like impatient for wins or you get really down on yourself for a losing week, outright betting is going to beat the hell out of you.
Because that's when the mistakes start happening. You start chasing, you start overextending your budget. You just got to I just stick to my process, and eventually the doors, you cross the finish line and you're good to go. But I've had a great week across multiple tours. It doesn't happen every day, so I'm going to enjoy it this weekend. And perfect timing going into the last major of the year.
Okay, well, let's talk about the last major of the year. Where is the leaderboard from 2017? Is the last time I was at Birkdale. I guess a lot has changed about the course. Here we go. Let's get it up there. This is the leaderboard from Birkdale, where Spieth, back when he was an elite player, was this his last major win?
Yes.
Okay. And but just look at that leaderboard. First thing I notice is not really packed with bombers. I mean, obviously Rory, Lee, and all that, but it's definitely not a bombers course. And second thing I noticed, there's a lot of jabronis on that leaderboard there. People who didn't follow golf a decade ago, guys like Southdale, Bello, Hotong, which I'm amazed he was around 9 years ago. I always thought the guy was in his early 20s.
I looked him up. He was 21 back then, so he had to have either just turned
He
pro.
was always like a known guy coming out of China, from what I remember when he was younger. And then he kind of lost his way a bit. He won the BMW in Germany, I think maybe around COVID time, and that kind of resurged his career. So someone like Hatong Lee has had a lot of up and downs from that moment, I'd say.
But this actually confirms what I'm thinking, though, is this is not necessarily a chalky course. I mean, obviously, the guys who are favorites for a reason. They're not going anywhere. But whoops, let me get all three of you out here. But I think there is value to be had somewhat down the board. That doesn't mean you need to be spraying a bunch of guys at 200 to 1. But if you like a guy in the 60s, the 80s, even the 100s, there is value. Whereas like Dead Man Walking, I think, at the Masters and other tournaments. This one, I do think if you want to, I actually want to get a little volume at the end of my board there. So tell me about Birkdale, though, Louis.
So with Birkdale, I've never played Birkdale. And it's probably one of them, we've got such a lovely stretch of golf courses where I live in the northwest of England. We have my local course, West Lancs, which I'm not a member of, but I'm lucky enough to play quite a bit. I played there last week and I was 2 under through 4 holes and then didn't make a par until the 16th hole after that. So I'm like, I play off like 11 handicap, so 2 under through 4. I was like, oh my god! And then I shot 85. I was happy with it. But yeah, there are some like links courses for your mid handicap. They can be brutal, and that's why it's so impressive when you see the pros come over here and just tear the place to pieces. So never made it up to Birkdale to play. I was there in 2017, but it's just such a fabulous stretch of golf. You've got Hillside next door to it, which is one of the best courses in England. You've got Southport and Ainsdale, which I'm lucky enough to have played plenty of times, and that's an amazing course. You've got Formby Golf Club down the road where Jordan Spieth plays yesterday. And then you've got Wallasey and Royal Liverpool, the other side of the water. So it's a fabulous stretch of golf. And if you compare Royal Liverpool to Birkdale, let's say, Royal Liverpool's a lot flatter course. Birkdale, there's a bit more character to it, I'd say. I'd say, generally speaking, it's one of the more favourable open venues for the fans. So I think ultimately it's been a very warm summer in the UK. We've had 2 heat waves. We had a heat wave about 2 weeks ago, got up to about 30 degrees Celsius, 31, so about mid-90s Fahrenheit, I think. And then this weekend it's been really warm. It's meant to be a really warm week going into the open week. So these courses are really burnt out. They're playing fast and firm. And to me, that brings a lot of players into it, because if it's a fast and firm golf course, a lot of the challenge is controlling your trajectory, controlling your spin. It's not really to do with distance, because your guy, like, let's say, I don't know, short hitter, Brian Campbell, I don't think he's actually in the Open, but Brian Campbell, 280 ball hitter, he'll be hitting it 310, 320 with the rollout that you're getting at Birkdale. And that will be a big sort of advantage for the short hitters, whereas your high ball hitters who hit it 310 carry, they're not going to be making, as much inroads as they would be in a normal sort of event. So I don't think distance is going to be an issue. I think the Scottish Open is maybe not the best warm-up course for analysing a course like Birkdale, because the Scottish Open, as we've seen by the leaderboard, lots of big hitters on there. There's lots of comparisons to the Houston Open. I mean, if you look at the likes of Minwoo Lee and Johnny Kiefer, they just kind of spray it and see where they ends up. You're not going to really get away with that at Birkdale. And I think ultimately it's going to be about accuracy, approach play, and just minimising mistakes. That's, I'd say, the key components this week.
Yeah, and if you look at the history of Birkdale and listen to, for example, Mayo's preview, you should watch a few preview shows, especially for this, because it hasn't played in 9 years. The two things, obviously, with any links course, number one defense is wind.
Yeah.
That, obviously, you can't control. but it's the winning score based on the win could go anywhere from even par to, if you look at that, -12 if you get a calm one. But the second thing is this course is known, of all the courses on the Open Rota, firm and fast hard greens.
Yeah.
And I'm not even talking about putting. I'm talking about on the approach. It's really hard to stick it. Like, you're not going to see that high loft, stick it on the green, backspin it. They are bouncy as hell greens.
Yeah.
And so accuracy, so that you shoot it from the fairway, and obviously approach is going to be key. And so you are saying it's most likely going to be firm and fast, even by their own standards.
Oh, and like even there's a bit of rain potentially forecast from Friday to Saturday, which the forecast keeps changing. There's been one day you wake up, it says it's going to rain at the weekend. The next it says sunny. Even if there is a little bit of rain, it's not going to make a huge difference. It's going to be fast and firm. It's been a really, really hot summer. And even playing like West Lancs last week, where the Open qualifying was, it was just so burnt out, and it's just such a different test of golf to where you're playing somewhere that's soft. And I think the Scottish Open, obviously, we were being really foggy on Saturday, and there was a little bit of give in the greens. I really don't think you're going to get that sort of test at Birkdale. Now, it depends how much they want to maybe water the greens, but as you said, Larry, historically, Birkdale, they like it fast and firm. And I think, as you said, apart from the winds, which they can't control, that is going to be the main defence of the golf course, because if they were to water the greens and make it soft, then you're looking at maybe 20 under for the winner. So I think as it stands, I'm looking towards the 10 under to 15 under range for the winner. That would be my guess.
And one of the things Mayo was saying on his preview show is they've done a lot of renovations on it. There's like a whole brand new par 3.
Yeah.
One of the overarching themes of the renovation is the areas around the greens. They've actually made it harder. So if you don't keep it on the green, the drop off is steeper. A lot more fast, short grass chips from different areas and all that. So it's really going to test. So around the green, I think, is going to be one category where you really need to pay attention to. You can't fake it this week.
And what course does that remind you of, Larry? We had it recently, very, very recently.
You mean Shinnecock?
Shinnecock. I think there will be a lot of comparisons between the two.
Now, I got a question for you. What about the rough? Because Shinnecock's fescue was bullshit. Okay, it was fake rough. Every time a guy hit it in Shinnecock, they were able to hit it out. Fescue, obviously, is the primary rough for all these open courses. How thick is the rough going to be?
I think just off the fairway, it won't be too bad. Obviously, similar to the Scottish Open, you've got a lot of bushes and gorse bushes that will play into it if you hit one really bad. But with the sort of fescue style rough, the fact that we've had barely any rain over the last month, it's not as thick. It's kind of thin and wispy, and it's burnt out. And from the courses that I've played this summer, links courses, being wayward off the tee, which I am very often wayward off the tee, it's not as big as an issue as if you played it like maybe Portrush last year, where the fairways were wide at Portrush, but that was very green. They clearly had a lot of rain over the summer. I think it's going to be slightly different. I think you might be able to get away with it, you might not, but I think probably you'll see more favourable lies out of the rough than bad lies. But look, I haven't been there yet. I was meant to be going today, but obviously the Scottish Open being delayed, I wanted to watch it on the TV. So I'm excited to get out there tomorrow and have a proper look at it. But based on what I've played this year, I'd have to say that I don't think it's going to be as penalising as some Opens that we've seen in the past.
At the same time, though, unlike Renaissance, when you're hitting out of this rough, you're hitting it into greens that are designed to repel balls.
Yeah.
Where Renaissance, you're hitting it out, the greens are much softer. So when you land it, even if you don't have a lot of spin, you can keep it on the green. So if you're hitting out of the rough, even if it's not like treacherous, you're still going to have a much harder time keeping it on those greens.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
And obviously, links golf is part of being creative. So the golfers who are good at links golf approach the greens differently. They might run it up. They might hit a lower ball, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
So it's definitely not going to be just point and shoot trackman golf. That's
100%.
not what links is about. Jim?
One more note on 2017 while y'all were chatting and while Louis was giving the course preview. Of the top 10, 8 of the guys in their 2 prior starts before the Open Championship had a top 15. And the only 2 that didn't was Haotong and Rory. So, and there were multiple winners in their previous event too. I think Spieth had won the U.S. Open prior, and Rafa Cabrera Bayo had won the DP World Tour event that week prior to playing as well. So a lot of good form coming in from that top 10 down to Brooks Koepka.
Okay, we're going to take a brief moment and talk about futures bets. Louis, I'll ask you, but first, Jim, you've got a nice little setup here of futures bets. Want to walk us through that, when you made them
Sure.
and what you were thinking?
Sure. So the first bet I made was Cam Young, and it is 60 boosted to 75 to 1, which is just fantastic. I think I made that bet last April along with the US Open and PGA Championship bet. But every one of my other bets on this card was made on X live. So everybody could have gone and grabbed it when I grabbed it. I bet Goddard up at 55 or right after the Masters. I just thought that all the majors kind of set up for him.
Yep, I actually had him at 57, so I do have a small future on him there.
And then everything else was pretty recent. I bet Wyndham Clark at 90 to 1 while he's been going on this run. I bet Russell Henley 55 to 1 boosted to 100 on FanDuel. I had some kind of bonus, but I'll track it at 55. And then Tom Kim, I bet I think it was this week. Because Louis shouted me out on it.
I'm willing to bet you whatever odds we have on when we get to Tom Kim's odds that I made up, because I make up the sheets about a couple hours ago. I bet you they're already obsolete, because I bet you he must be like 60 now.
He's down to 60 on DK.
Yep. Okay, now we're gonna go to mine. I do have Goddard up. I do have a bunch of Posty futures when he was 300 to 1, but really the main event for me this week is going to be these two gems. You might have to squint to see it. These are two futures. For some reason, I went through a Justin Rose phase last fall. And so the first one was Brian Campbell at the Suncoast first round leader parlay. So $10 got me a $100,000 Justin Rose ticket. However, let's be clear, it's chopped three ways. So it's only $33,000. And then $33,000 wasn't enough apparently before. So in November, I decided to bet on Sweet Sammy Valimaki, and I actually made good money off of him on an actual
Big Sammy, what a guy.
Yep, and so that one was chopped twice. So it looks like I have 170,000 futures on Rose. That's not true. I have about 73, I think, from these two. But I also, when he was 90 to 1, I actually peppered him a few times. So I do have $90,000 tickets worth of Sir Justin Rose.
Sir Justin.
Yeah, I've been on. It's made for an adventurous Justin Rose experience for me, because I really took him switching those goddamn McLaren irons really hard.
It's not the irons, man. Look at his data golf stats. I don't know what it is, but he had a couple bad weeks, but the irons are back.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. I'm actually feeling much better heading into the week from his approach, at least. And I think he'll get the rest down pat. But yeah, if you look at him, his approach is better, so I'm no longer worried. And I'm back to thinking I actually have a really good shot on this. Now,
Larry, sorry.
You are a psycho, man, and I love it so much.
Larry, just to interrupt. Now, I don't know whether I've made this up or not, but haven't you got a double with Justin Rose to win the Open and England to win the World Cup? Or have I just made it up?
I do somewhere.
That's like I swear that's for like $200,000 or something.
No.
I swear it was.
I made that around the Masters, I think. So I think he was down to like 60.
You've got to find that bet.
I will. I definitely. I remember I posted it to you, I think, actually.
Yeah, and I was like, you're fucking crazy. I think that's basically what I said.
I'm a little upset. I was gung-ho. My brother and I have always talked about going to an Open Championship. The one time we actually booked something was 2020 when it was outside of London down at St. George. So we're going to stay in London, take the train. Obviously, COVID blew that up. And I couldn't get my brother to go with me. Now, I love traveling solo to everywhere. So
you could have came here.
I know. I was going to crash on your couch, damn it. No, but that's the one trip I didn't want to take solo, because my brother and I literally have been talking for 20 years. So he made a solemn vow, no matter what, in 2 years it's going to be back in your neck of the woods again. At Royal St. Anne's, and what's the official name?
That's in Blackpool. Royal Liverpool and St. Anne's.
Yeah, that's right near your home, right?
So it's about an hour away, and that's where the Women's Open is this year.
Okay, yeah. So because St. Andrews is probably already booked and a pain in the butt, which is next year. But unlike the U.S. Open, where they have booked U.S. Open sites for the next 40 years, we didn't even learn about where it was going to be until just a few months ago. So he 100% promised. I don't care what his wife says. We are going to the Open Championship in 2 years, damn it. And I'm going to start betting the futures right now. I'm going to have $1 trillion on Toasty.
These wives and families are really just killing your game, man.
You want to know what's crazy? I'm actually getting my friends back because I'm the single guy without kids. And so in the 20s, we were all having a good time. The last 15 to 20 years, they all decided to start having families. But now the kids are going away to college. Okay, now the wives don't give a shit. They're like, just go away. Okay, we don't. You know what I mean? They don't need to be around their husband anymore. They're sick of them. So the trips to Vegas are going to be coming back in the winter. Golf trips down south are going to be coming back again. So for 15 years, I've always been like, I'm in, but nobody else was. And now I'm getting my friends back. So
you're living the life, Larry.
Now, Louis, you have any good futures?
So, futures. So I remember we went down to Troon in 2024, and me and my dad, we'd gone big on Tom Kim futures, and that was like, we've been on him all year, and we just kept topping it up. And we went down there, and I think he teed off at like 8:30, and we're there. And he was playing into genuinely like a blizzard. It was on the coast the first 6 holes. He was like 5 over through 6. So I said, after that day, I'm not doing any open futures because it's too volatile. However, after Tom Kim played so well at the US Open at Shinnecock, I took him 125 to 1, and that's all I've got so far. I haven't made a decision on anyone yet but Tom Kim. Now, I was going to go back in for more. He's now down to 40 to 1 in the UK, but I've won my money on him. Anything else next week is a bonus. My mentality towards next week is just like, enjoy the week. I'm there. It's my home open. If we win, we win. If we lose,
so you both have Tom Kim futures. Now, are you guys at all concerned that he won this week?
Nope.
I don't care.
Now, man.
I don't care.
Yeah. I get so angry when people are like, no way can he win back to back. Because mathematically speaking, before he won like this week, arguing that he's going to win 2 in a row is very hard. He's already won the first one. So his chances are no different than anyone else's. It's not like he's going to go out and party hard for the next 3 days.
No, exactly.
Open Championship. Like if it were reversed, I'd be nervous. Like if he won the Open Championship this week and then you have next week in the Scottish, I'd be like, he might be a little hungover. But it's
actually to his benefit that they're in Scotland, because he'd go to Chipotle and Panda Express and McDonald's here in the States. I don't know what they have in Scotland.
He'll go to the Blue Dragon Chippy and have a battered sausage and stuff. So he's
going to be hanging out. He's going to be hanging out with Jordan and Scotty. With these young dads, they're just going to be watching TV and drinking.
Well, Tom Kim, I don't think Tom Kim actually drinks. I remember he won a few years back, and he said like he was going to eat chocolate cake in his hotel room or something. I was like, this guy's a fucking loser, honestly. But it's it's if he wins gold tournaments, then fair play.
I'm gonna theorize without any factual basis. Part of the reason why he disappeared for like a year and a half was the dude won 2 events. All of a sudden, he's a millionaire. He discovered partying, women, having a good old time.
I don't think he did.
You guys are so naive. He's a professional athlete. He's been getting laid up to here, okay? Been partying hard, going to Vegas, and you want to know, he got it out of the system, and now he's ready to become a serious golfer again.
Well, he did win twice in Vegas, so maybe that was the
critical of that, because I can only imagine what I would have done if I was 21 years old. I became a famous athlete. And I had $5 million in my bank.
I think Larry, you would be like John Daly times 1,000, maybe.
Yeah. I probably wouldn't handle it well now. Okay, we're gonna quick note. Tomorrow we are going to be going on Twitter Spaces with you, Louis. Plug it real quick, and then we're going to walk you through the first page of the leaderboard before we throw you out of here.
So yes, 9 p.m. UK time. I think it's 4 p.m. Eastern time. Twitter Spaces. Myself, Larry, Jim, Ginger Joe Racing, Nelson's Golf Tips. I am there all day tomorrow, so I will have some on the ground, give you a little bit of what's been going down. I'll be there for the last chance qualifier. So all 5 of us. We had the winner last time as well, Wyndham Clark, on that show. I think like maybe 4 of us were on him, maybe more. I don't know. But yeah. It was it should be a great show. Last one of the year. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, and I'm going to have a lot of questions about the course because it's been 9 years. They changed the course around. there's not really a lot of good data. So anecdotal firsthand information, like from you, is going to be very useful because even though I do have some futures, I'm going to make a few first tastes. I am not going to be anywhere near finishing my card.
But Larry, it does depend on how many beers I end up having tomorrow. Like, I might be out of the game by 9 o'clock.
Yeah, actually, I got a serious question for you here. Okay, serious question. You won. We were DMing, the three of us, and you were having a victory beer. What the hell is a good lad, a scoose from Liverpool, drinking Corona for?
It was in the fridge. So I was just like, okay. I'm not like a massive drinker, so I'm not like I've got to drink this beer and whatever. I normally go for a Budweiser, though, I must say. Now, that's quite controversial in the UK, but I like a Budweiser.
Do you drink any liquor? Are you a liquor drinker?
I drink, I don't know if you class it as liquor, but Disaronno, like Amaretto.
Mm-hmm.
I drink that quite a lot. That's like my go-to spirit. I don't really drink whiskey or rum or anything. So I'd say, I'm not a big drinker, but I would have a Disaronno and Coke. That would be my go-to spirit.
Amaretto Coke?
Yeah.
Right, no. We sell quite a few of them at Tom and Marty. So if you're ever stateside,
I need to come over, Larry. I will be there one day.
Let me be clear though. When you order, it's not going to be Disaronno, that $40 bottle. It's going to be Rock Gut Mr. Boston $6 bottle. But you want to?
Is that how much Disaronno is? It's quite cheap over here. It's like
that's
a bottle.
Considered top shelf over here.
Oh wow!
It's not a huge college market. Cheap Amaretto, however, I go through cases and cases of it. Okay, Amaretto sour. Okay,
before we move on, Larry, Louis, do you have any bets for the last qualifying?
So I'm not posting it as an official pick because I think the odds are horrendous.
They're so bad.
Like it's just not worth it. Like the favorite is 4-1. It's a lottery pick, 18 holes. But I was there for Wes Bryan's qualifier at Westlands, my local course. I did 36 holes with him. So I've had a sentimental £10 win on him at 10-1, and then that will pay for my day if he goes through. And I want him to go through. He's a top man. And I think like the whole YouTube golf narrative, I think he's kind of like the perfect middle ground between the professional game and maybe the young kids kind of coming through. So I think people like him are important for the game. You can have your own opinions on him, Grant Horvath, all of these guys. But ultimately, if we want the game to continue in the next, 40, 50 years, need people like him. So wishing Wes Bryant all the best and Potgieter as well. I'd like to see him have a go. But he might get in anyway because he's first out on it. So I'm Team Wes Bryant, basically.
Yeah. Cool. Actually, we'll get to that with Sammy Burns. Sammy Burns is question mark for because he's.
I had that highlighted for to bring up for the show. So
and somebody's not going to show up. I'm not saying skip it, but somebody's going to withdraw. So if you're first alternate, you're pretty much in my opinion. Yeah. Okay. Here's normally at first taste we go through the DK. Thank you, DraftKings, for posting the early odds every Sunday night. For degenerate gamblers and people who love golf, it really kicks off the week the night before. It's really fun. With a major this week, however, there's been futures bets on all the sports books, since the end of last year, so 51 weeks. And what happens, though, is it converts from a futures market to a regular betting market right about now at most of the books. Some of them won't do it till the morning, but in general, they all make the switch now. So you do see a drastic change in odds. I always say never really bet futures 2 weeks before unless you got a great value like Tom Kim or something like that, because the odds generally get better. So what we're doing this week is I'm going to post the DraftKings odds, but then to the right of it, I'm going to post of the 7 main sports books. Oh, hold on. Let me find the right page here. Okay. Hold on. Well, here we go. We are going to remove, and then we're going to add. Why are you not? Oh, I got to remove that one. I see. Okay. Here we go. Sorry about that technical warning. So these are the 7 main sports books in the U.S. DraftKings, FanDuel are the 2 big ones. And then we've got several other ones which aren't really as good. But if you look, you can always find 1 or 2 guys. That would be Fanatics. That would be MGM and Caesars, which is generally pretty lousy. Bet365 might be the best book. Problem is it's not widely available. I think it's like 15 states in the U.S. And then Bet Rivers, which also they do offer each ways, but as a result, usually they're outright, and this is an outright show more than an each way show. Tomorrow we can talk each ways, are a little bit worse. So what I did is I went through each player in the top 4 pages, and I got their best odds right now. By right now, I mean about 3 hours ago. So if there is a little bit of movement, at least you're going to have a good idea as we walk through this board of what to expect. So, Louis, before we kick you off, I want to talk the first page with you, and then any first tastes that you might have made, or guys you are watching, and by tomorrow or Tuesday, you might want to bet if you find a good price. So here is the wrong page. There we go. There we go. First page of the board. Most amazing thing here, I would say, is on some of the books, McIlroy is the favorite over Scheffler. In general, McIlroy is still number 2, but there are a couple places where McIlroy is the favorite. Louis, we'll let you go first simply because we're going to be throwing you out of here in a few minutes. But who do you think should be the favorite?
I'd still go with Scheffler. And I think that the fact that he's the reigning champion, the fact that Rory hasn't really done an awful lot since he won the Masters, I think you'd have to edge with Scheffler. However, it did throw a big spanner in the works, Scheffler missing the cut, because even before Scheffler missed the cut, it was quite close to betting. So I maybe understand it in that sense, but ultimately, I think Scheffler still is the best player in the world. I think he's clearly not got his best game, and I'm not trying to sit here and say he's going to win it next week. I don't think he will win the Open next week, but if you had to pick one favourite, I think it would have to be Scheffler.
36 minutes into the show, and we're first talking about Scheffler missing the cut at the Scottish Open.
I know. It's crazy.
Now, Jim, would you consider either one of these two guys?
Just given the fact of how I've constructed my futures card, it's not plausible for me. I would go the opposite side. So maybe me and Louis can do a fun little wager on McIlroy versus Scheffler, but it's not going to happen as far as an outright for me next week.
I do think Scheffler's odds now are slowly drifting into accurate. He's not the Scheffler of last year, and that guy's gone. And maybe a new just as good one will come next year. This year, he's just not the same golfer, and he's been consistently 4-1, 5-1 for all year now. And now you can find – and blue basically means, if you go by the color chart, blue means FanDuel has the best odds at 750. I am not going to be betting Scheffler. That said, those odds are beginning to get close to accurate. Like 10-1, I think, would be a good bet on Scheffler. And so if you get a boost or something along those lines, you can actually find a good price on Scheffler. I won't be getting there, but this is probably the first time I've looked at Scheffler in a major and been like, okay, there's value there maybe to be had.
Scheffler's floor is so safe in contrast to McIlroy, but like look what we saw from McIlroy today. He is so good when he's feeling it. He is just so much fun to watch, and he could go on a 6 birdie streak in 9 holes. And with the form today, he's definitely somebody I'm worrying about more than Scheffler. We just haven't seen sharp Scotty Scheffler this year.
I actually think he's a little fragile right now. And I mean, a little by what I'm saying by that is he's not comfortable being the golfer he is now versus last year. He's frustrated as hell. Links golf is about variance. You're going to get bad breaks, bad bounces. You're going to hit a good shot, and it's still going to go off the green. Scheffler, he's letting those things get to him right now. So I would be concerned about that. That again, he's going to make the cut this week. I'll tell you that. He's not going to miss 2 cuts in a row.
Yeah,
I agree. I don't think he has that killer mentality right now because I think doubt has crept in, which every other golfer in the world has doubt. He has
100%.
So when I say he's fragile, I'm just saying is he's playing mortal. He's the best mortal golfer alive, but he's used to being immortal, and I don't think he's handling it yet. And I think it's going to take a year before, he can adjust to that. So hard pass on both of them. Now all of a sudden we're just bunched up. If you look at DraftKings, 1550 for Rahm. Look at the variance in odds. 22-1. Red is Bet Rivers.
Bet Rivers.
22-1 all of a sudden is a pretty good price. But Rahm or any of the next 9 guys, Jim, who do you like?
Matt Fitz is going to be my next target. I'm considering adding him. It would make it a little heavy of a card, but I've stayed in my unit allocation pretty well. And I think I would stay at least 7X still. But I'm looking really hard at Matty Fitz, 21. I think that's a super number, and I'm surprised it's not in the teens. I'm surprised we don't have somebody in the teens all around all the major books.
I think if you look at most of the books, Fitzy's already 16 to 18 at a lot of them. So that's a DraftKings number in the black, which I will tell you right now, if you are watching this, you like Matty Fitz, jump on that 21. Like he's my number
100%.
one pick. He's my number one pick for golf tips checker this week. I think there's already a lot of futures out on him back when, the beginning of the year. So 21 is just a great price. I won't get there because, like you said, I've already allocated a lot of units and I got a lot of other guys. But that's, I think, a really good price because arguably he's in as good a form as anyone, him and Wyndham Clark.
Yeah, 100%.
At the moment in the main, I'm not saying therefore he's better than Scheffler, but at the moment he's playing better golf. It's indisputable. Now, Louis, you see anybody on that board who you either like yourself or you would say if you like this guy, you should bet him?
I agree with what you said about Fitzpatrick. Now, I'm not going to get there myself, and I have questions over Fitzpatrick. However, I do know that in some books in the UK, he's as low as 12 to 1. So if you're getting 21 and above, then, as you said, that will only come in. But the one guy who stands out on that board for me is Colin Morikawa. And I think after his injury at the Players, it just completely dismantled his season. And he's slowly bringing it back. And I think he's kind of done it under the radar. I don't think he kind of comes into this with like much pressure and expectation, but I think his game is definitely there. And I think 33 to 1, past champion, fast and firm, which will suit him. I really like him.
Yep. A lot of distance. Only thing I would say is I wouldn't be in a hurry to bet it. I don't see a lot of public steam on him. He's kind of been forgotten because of the injury and all that other stuff. So will he creep up a little higher? I think it's more likely than him getting blasted down into the 20s.
Yeah, I agree.
It's at 33. I'm watching that. Okay, I will already tell you I'm watching that. The other number I'm watching is I had no interest in betting him. I've been all over him for the first 3 majors. Cam Young, 35 to 1, which Pink is what the heck's Pink? That's Bet365. And that's getting near auto bet territory for me. Talk about a guy who's forgotten. 35 to 1. What do you think, Louis? Because Jim, we'll get to you since we see what you're wearing.
I think Jim's t-shirt says it all, but I think like Cam Young is a great links player, and we've seen that with him with how he played at St Andrews, and it's just his style of game. So he hasn't really been playing great the last month or so, and maybe it's kind of cooled down a little bit because he was probably in the top 3 players in the world as short as 2 months ago. But I think 35 to 1 is fair. I wouldn't have any beef anyone backing it. Whether that will come in or not, I'm not too sure. I think, as we said before, I think Fitzpatrick is the one who will get hammers in. I think Gotterup will probably come in a little bit as well. But I think the rest, players who maybe kind of skimmed under the radar a little bit, I think they will hand out the prices.
Now, I'm not a big hand guy. That said, he has an incredible links history, DP World Tour and all that other stuff. I do think 37 to 1 is an outlier price. Most places he's in the low 30s. I think that 37 to 1 is going to get hammered too, just because I think he's going to be a trendy pick for people who, like I said, he's got a great links history, particularly if there's any kind of wind on the horizon and all that. So again, I'm not getting the hand, but I do think 37 to 1 is a bet. If you're thinking about betting a hand, I think you should jump on that 37 to 1 as well.
Absolutely. I agree completely.
Now, what do you think of Oberg 31, boys?
No. If you got a death wish, even if it was 100 to 1, I think I'd give it a miss.
Oh, come on, Louis. You're in on 100.
Gonna make a prediction right now. Larry's first rule of gambling, I've been saying it for 10 weeks now, is whatever number Oberg gets posted at, it always goes lower. This is the week the law is going to break. You're going to be able to find a 35 on Oberg in another couple days. He just hasn't been playing well. I think everybody who bets golf has probably been burned by Oberg at least once or twice this year, so they're sick of his bullshit. And it's not necessarily a course. I mean, he's good enough to go out and win. I'm not saying, but it's definitely not a course where his driver, which is his main weapon, is utilized to the maximum efficiency. So I'm going to actually predict my first rule of gambling, Oberg always goes down, is going to end this week, and you'll be able to find a 35 on him if you want to bet him.
Yeah, there's going to be a sour taste. He missed the cut on the number, unfortunately. I think we might see a 40, honestly. But yeah, I'm with Louis to some extent. If it was 80 to 100, I'm definitely in. And so is Louis.
I think I was exaggerating a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh, everybody has a price eventually, I'll bet. Okay.
Yes.
Justin Thomas, who I despise more than any other golfer, he reaches a certain number. I don't even know what that number is. It'd be a lot higher than most people's. Eventually, I would even bet him. So, Louis, before we send you away, and we're looking forward, Jim and I joining you tomorrow, do you have anybody a bit down the board who you either saw the odds and like, I got to bet him, or you're waiting on and you're really going to be monitoring the numbers when they get posted more tomorrow?
So I'm monitoring Morikawa. I'm monitoring Wyndham Clark. I mentioned it before. I think there are a lot of similarities to Shinnecock, and I think patience, short game, and putting are all going to come into it. So he is playing unbelievable. So I'm keeping an eye on him, see what price he goes to. And a big outsider, Matthew Jordan. If you look at that 2017 leaderboard, Matthew Jordan just fits the bill completely for that. He qualified at West Lancs and he was playing with Wesley Bryan when I went and watched him. I spoke to him after the round and I think he was 8 under through 2 rounds in difficult conditions. And he said himself he played shit. So imagine if he plays well. That's all I'm thinking about. So
Dude,
250 to 1.
He's such a great Open Championship player as well.
Yeah.
I will be adding Matthew Jordan when the show ends.
I asked Jim earlier when I was making up the sheets. I was like, at the end, are there any guys way down the board you want me to put on? He was like, Matthew Jordan. So
Matthew Jordan.
There is
the ball now is no.
Page 5. I actually auto bet him just because Jim was like, put him on there.
Well, there you go. So everyone listening to this needs to bet Matthew Jordan this week.
400 to 1 at Fanatics, 370 to 1 at DraftKings. So we'll get to him. All right,
we
Louis.
are laddering.
Okay. We are going to be the team Matthew Jordan here. Thank you so much, Louis. Always good to have you on.
Hey, Larry, before we let Louis go, let's let him lead off with the most tips chart with his first pick.
Oh, yes.
Well, is this for the most tip next week?
Yes. We want 2 names from you.
We give you the easy pick.
Okay, well, we'll go for Matthew Fitzpatrick. I think he's definitely on the chart. I think Tom Kim, and I'll go Hatton as well. I'll go for 3. I think Hatton will be on there, 100%. Yeah, they're my 3. So we shall
going the extra mile. I love it.
Okay, wait, where did you go again? Because I was trying to get the damn chart on the board.
So Hatton, Tom Kim, Fitzpatrick, they're my 3. Will be on there.
Okay.
We shall see.
Awesome.
So one last thing as well. One last thing. So I will be at the Open all week. I'm doing a competition on my page tomorrow. So you'll see it by the time this comes out. I'll be posting it tomorrow. Pick 2 players and the lowest combined score will win a voucher. And this applies to US watchers as well. I'll send over a Golf Galaxy or some equivalent to one of our stores we have in the UK. And I'll also be giving away a goodie bag from Birkdale. I'll be in the pro shop spending my £980 that I won from Tom Kim this afternoon. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So, yeah, keep an eye out for that, lads. And, yeah, looking forward to the week. And I'll see you both tomorrow, 9 o'clock for the show.
Get a good night's sleep and have fun.
4 o'clock Eastern time.
Yep.
6:30 a.m. train to Birkdale tomorrow. I can't wait for it, lads. It doesn't get much better, honestly. It really doesn't.
All righty. Thank you, sir. We'll see you tomorrow, 4 o'clock on Spaces. All right. Always good to have Louis on there. 980 pounds he won? I don't know what's a pound.
Yeah.
He could have won $20 for all I know, or he could be a millionaire. I don't know what a fucking pound is.
I think the pound is better than the US dollar, so he's richer than we are.
Oh, okay. There we go. Good job. I don't mean to disparage it. Okay, so we're going to jump right on to page 2. Hold on here. What are we doing here? There we go. Once again, this is the color coding for when you're watching. Black, blue, brown, orange, pink, red, and green for the 7 major sports books. Let's go right to page 2. And Jim, what do you see here on the board? Anybody who you like? Or even if you don't like, anybody who people should bet at that number?
Yeah, I think we got to lead off with Sam Burns. Sam Burns and his wife are expecting their second child any day now. If you're going to bet Sam Burns, I'd wait till Wednesday. Oh, it's a weird situation. I don't really know how to answer this because if he withdraws, you're going to get your money back at this point. Even a futures market doesn't apply anymore. So if you like Sam Burns, it's not going to honestly, it's probably not going to get any better than 45. But just be aware that he is probably going to not
Yeah,
be here
I
this
would
week.
think because Open Championship makes it trickier because it's not like you can just jump on a Gulfstream and be back home in 2 hours. It's a big trip home. So I would think if he tees it off on Thursday, he'll play the whole thing. He'll have like coast is clear. But then again, I don't know. This isn't his first kid. And I mean, obviously, all your kids are equally important when you have them. But when you're a seasoned parent who's gone through it before, maybe the planning might be a little easier. You're a little bit willing to push it. I don't know. But yeah,
No, you're right. You're right. If it's a healthy if a healthy baby comes and everything's good, he's going to get on a plane and get over here for sure.
And that said, how much is he working on his game versus normally? That is a factor. I would basically just say I'm not betting Burns because of it, because there are so many guys you like. If you have a reason not to bet a guy, take that as a blessing. Okay, it's my problem always is when I'm picking these guys, picking my card is I've got too many guys I like. So if there's a plausible reason, just drop him and move on. And as much as I like Burns, and he's become a major horse,
dude, he is a big game hunter.
Yeah, but at the same time, I'll happily just pass on him. Look at Bryson, 50-1.
It's crazy.
And Pink is 365, by the way.
It's just not Bryson at the Open Championship is just not for me. The around the green game is great, and he's starting to develop a little bit of touch around these situational. It's not just a point and click for Bryson anymore, but we just haven't seen peak Bryson this year. We've got all the live stuff going on, and we just haven't seen him in his sharpest form. Everything that Reed's been this year, Bryson's the antithesis of it. I'm out.
I would agree with you on that one. Go just 2 board down, though. Obviously, I've got $1 trillion on Rose already, so I'm not looking to add more. But Rosie, that 47 on DraftKings is such an outlier to the other $6. I think the highest you can find him anywhere else is like 33. And they have him sitting there at 47. And as we talked about earlier, there were valid concerns about his game with the club switch and all that. But I think at least in terms of the irons, they've been answered. And as for his putting and all the other stuff, he's going to have it ready here to play. So I think if I didn't have a ticket, I'd jump on it at 47.
That is so well spoken. If I didn't have any futures, Justin Rose might be my first click. His next best price other than the 47 is 33-1 on FanDuel. So that is an auto click.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, yes, Masters, obviously he's competed there and all that. I just think his game, his mentality, everything is suited to win a British Open. And you want British Open. I'll say British Open. And anybody want to cancel me right here, okay? But not just for that, but for the narrative, England. So Rosie winning, and then England playing later that night. It could happen. If
you know what I'm going to do?
When
this show ends, I'm going to put $10 on Rosie to win at the 47 and England to win the
England. Yeah, and I have that ticket because I remember
to win the World Cup. I
don't know where I bet it, but I'm going to post it and tell Louis wherever it is. So I already.
I'm late to the party, and it will not be on the official card, but I am going to put $10 on that.
Now, anybody else on this board?
I think McIntyre and Wyndham make a ton of sense at their prices. You're getting a major winner and a local grown kid from Scotland who's going to be excel in links conditions in the 40s. I mean, if you're just staring at the odds boards for the first time, those are 2 guys you could start a card with and have plenty of room to build a legit card from there.
And top 5, top 10 guys in the world, you don't worry as much about course fit with. Wyndham right now is a top 5 guy in the world. I'm not saying it's going to be sticky and therefore, a year from now, blah, blah, blah. But the golf he's playing right now, he is an elite golfer, and he's 42-1. So, yes, you might argue about the course fit and will it fade if it gets windy, blah, 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 blah. That's all factors. At the same time, top 5 player in the world at 42-1. I already bet him this week. Or last week, so I'm not going to get there because not that I'm hurt by it, but it's just I'm not gonna. But 42-1 is a really, really good price on a guy. So
and he's got a T4 and a solo 6. No, I'm sorry, I've got Corrales open. He's got a T4 last year in the Open Championship as well, so he can do it.
Mm-hmm. And he quasi contended this week at Scottish.
He had a bad day today for sure.
Yeah, it was stressful. I hate it because I had Wyndham, And yesterday, for half the day, he was a stroke back, but it wasn't really contending because he was like 6 holes ahead. I hate that kind of sweat where you got to now hope for the next hour after he's done that people don't run away with it. And I'm not saying they ran away with it, but yeah, people put distance between them, and then he just didn't have it today. This is the second time he's fallen out of contention on Saturday, and then he's no-shut on Sunday. I just think he was already mentally checked out and getting ready for Birkdale, so I'm not holding today against him one bit.
He's had a lot going on in the last 2 months. I mean,
yeah.
Let's go back to the end of May. Won the Byron Nelson, which started this run. Solo third at the Memorial, T11 at Canada, won the U.S. Open, T5 at Travelers. I think I can excuse him for a T13 here this week.
I do worry a little bit, him and Goddard, in that just they've had so much success. They've been in so many high-leverage situations in the last 2 months. I'm not saying they're not going to be mentally ready for the Open, but if there are like some capital reserves you keep down deep for these things, they got to be running pretty low. Again, that's not going to scare me off of them because, on the other hand, they're just playing incredibly good golf. You do wonder, though.
I would say that on a normal week, but I think I'm going to override that fear for a major.
Yeah, and especially because both of them, because Goddard's price, I think you can find a 30. I think we saw there. So, ultimately, there's good value to be there. Okay, let's go to page 3. And looking at the board here, anybody who you have, Tom Kim, what was your price again? 100?
Yeah, 100. As
I'm
late
willing to bet
as
you right
it
now
actually got up to 110 on last night. So
I'm willing to bet you that 70's already dead.
Yeah, it's gone. 60.
Yeah. So 70 was a good price on DraftKings. Now, DraftKings might be a little overrepresented because I use them first, and a lot of other ones might have a number the same as DraftKings. I just will keep it on there. I'm not going to do multicolor for these numbers and all that. But at the same time, overall, DraftKings odds were the best. FanDuel's are also pretty good, especially top of the board FanDuel ones. But
yeah, FanDuel's been awesome for the last month. Yep. It's been a pleasant surprise.
But you see, like the Brown, which is Caesars, that's why you still got to check Caesars. There's about 3 or 4 on the board that are Caesars, just outlier prices. I'm not saying I like Spawn, but Spawn 90, I think the closest you found was at Caesars. I think it's 10 points higher than anything else. So especially as you get down the board, look at all the different books at your disposal. Also look at the boost they might be offering because you might be able to get extra stuff and all that. Green, I can't even remember what the hell Green was. Siwoo, that's a big outlier too. The Green.
Green is Fanatics.
Fanatics, yes. And Fanatics, they also have the good boost with the fan cash. So Siwoo, is he ever going to have a good major? This would be a good major for him, you'd think.
He played well today too.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly where he finished, but he was on the coverage. Which is, they're not going to put you on coverage unless you're playing well.
And so I would want Siwoo on a traditional running 9 or 10 greens open. These ones are going to be running 12 or 13, which would make me a little nervous about Siwoo. That said, he does compete everywhere. You just need a little bit of a surge in the putting, and that can happen anywhere. 75 to 1. If you're a Siwoo guy, that's a good price.
Let's say this, too. He gained strokes in putting every round this week. He gained 2.13 strokes on approach, 3.55 strokes on tee to green, and 4.1 strokes total today. So, if you're looking for form, Siwoo certainly fits the bill at a great price.
And if you're looking for long-term, he fits it. I mean, he's a top 10 player this year.
We've
not
talked
based on
about
results, but based on strokes gained. Without
both.
He's got 5.
Both. He just hasn't gotten across the finish line. We've talked about how criminal this season would be if he doesn't get a win.
And that is a real problem, though. That's not just variance bad luck. I mean, anybody who's had a bet on him on a Sunday, his putting just on Sundays, he alligator arms it. He just starts poking at it. So that is a real problem. That said, he's won before. He's a very good golfer. 75 to 1 here. Doesn't have a much of major history, but I'm thinking about it is all I'm saying. Now, that said, the 75 might not last because that was a pretty good outlier versus the rest of the books. I think he was like high 50s and 60s every year. So
I can give you that answer real quick. He must have gotten bet down at FanDuel. He was 80 on FanDuel earlier.
Oh, what? Oh, was he? Okay.
Go check your books, everyone listening, if you've got a FanDuel account, to see if that 80 is still live. But I updated that this morning, so it could be dead by now.
Okay. All right. Anybody else on this board that you think people should bet if they like them?
I want to I want to go back to the last page just real quick because I have him on my futures card. Russell Henley at 55 seems like a super fair price. He won the Charles Schwab. He's got a few top tens this year. He T10 last year at the Open, solo 5 in 2024. I just think that that's kind of a much to the sense of Tom Kim last week. Russell Henley at 55 in a major is just, I think.
Yeah, this is a good long irons course for him. And Henley and Burns are the two guys who have changed their big picture narrative, where for years they were good regular season guys and shit the bed in the majors. Both Henley and Burns, if you look at their majors performance over the last couple of years, they have been competing in them. They have top tens. They have been contending on Sundays. They haven't gone across the line, but they have shown they show up now to these ones to compete. So, Henley 55.
If any of our listeners are data golf fans, you want to have the long drivers. Obviously, that's an advantage in today's game. But if you're not a long driver, you want the golfers who make the perfect bowl on the skill profile, where their putting is great, their driving accuracy is great, their around the greens great, and their approach is great. It creates like a bowl image. Mm-hmm. And Russell Henley is that golfer. He's so good at all of those other 4 stroke gain categories, and his driving distance is just terrible.
Yeah, but he does make up for it, kind of like Morikawa does, in that they're great long iron players. So you could be 10 yards, 15 yards shorter if you are 8% better than pretty much everybody else with long irons. The buckets from 175 to like 225 or so. So
if you're going to bet those shorter guys, make sure that profile gives you that bowl that you're looking for.
Okay. And Henley 55, he might be the smart guy pick a little bit. So that's not a bad price to
I don't know if I would have gotten there live with a blank slate, but I had a boost and I was looking. I was running out of time to use it, and I'm like, who am I going to use this on? I think this major is the toughest to cap, honestly. And I was like, I can get Henley up to 100-1. I don't even care if he loses at that point, I'll at least have a guy who I know who's going to hit the fairways, hit the green. When he gets in trouble, he's going to have a chance to get out of it, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and again, when we talked about the leaderboard from 2017, there's a lot of variance at an Open, okay? It doesn't always show it on a leaderboard, but I do think there are going to be 2 or 3 guys who are way down the board in contention. Now, obviously, winning is a whole separate issue, but if you bet 150 to 1 guy and you got a Sunday sweat going, it's a good problem to have. You know what I mean? Not having it. Which gets us
He was in this field in 2017, too. He finished T37, but he shot a 67 in round 4, so he can spike.
Now, here we are, page 4, and we're getting to the hundreds. Harry English, this should have been his great year. And you want to know what? They're giving him honest numbers. And we were just talking about Tom Kim and Homa and Poston. English hasn't been horrible this year. It just hasn't been good. Ordinarily, this should be an awesome course for him. He's played well in the majors in the last few years and all that. And now they're actually giving him an honest price, 110-1. Green is, what the hell is green? I wish I should have read that.
Green is Fanatics.
That said, there's 105s on all the different books, 105 at DraftKings and all that. He got a click from me. I don't think he's going to go that much higher. I've been frustrated that his poor play hasn't reflected in the odds. Now he's finally triple digits. I just love him so much on this course. Again, he's an accurate driver, good with long irons. Can be good with long irons is a better way of describing it. And then he's just a fantastic putter. So I would not be shocked if he is contending on Sunday.
And if you're leaning into Harris English and you like the putter profile, you could throw this week out. He lost 1.93 putting round 1 and 1.03 putting in round 2. Everything else was awesome. He gained 2 1/4 strokes on approach.
What was his driver?
3.5 tee to green. Driver was awesome. Off the tee, he lost a little bit, but tee to green, he gained like 3.5 strokes.
Okay, and that's where he's been faltering a lot. So again, we're talking hundreds now. So at this point, there's no such thing as a bad bet. Just don't bet bad amounts. I'm not going to be pounding the living shit out of Harris English at 105. Who else on this board right here do you say that might interest you?
I don't think I'm going to get to anybody here. I mean, Harman's got the pedigree of being an Open Championship, and at 125 to 1, if you want to go there, that's fine. Alex Fitzpatrick's the flavor of the month. He's kind of cooled. He kind of reached his apex, and he's coming down. Those would be the two guys that I would probably target in this area if I had a fresh card. But I'm not getting to anyone here.
There's one outlier on here price wise. It was on DraftKings. I'm not a big Rye fan, but he's mostly like 80 everywhere, and he's 100 to 1. And this is a course that should suit him just fine. You know, same thing. Accurate driver of the ball. Not too long, but again, his irons and approach and all the other stuff. So if you're a Rye fan, I've never seen a guy get a smaller bounce off of a major win than Rye. I'm not saying he deserves to be like in the top 15 of the odds board and all that, but his odds are no better now than they were basically before he won a freaking major, which is a really, really hard thing to do. And I just find that surprising. And I guess partly I'm also not betting him, so that would explain it. I guess none of us believe in him yet.
He's certainly going to have some more attention on him coming off the PGA Championship win, being in England. You know, everything's been – I mean, the approach game's been good. Off the tee's been good. He just kind of been middling since his win. And
well, he's been middling before his win.
I just don't think Aaron Rye is going to win 2 major championships in 1 year. You know?
It's going to be England's weekend, and nothing against Rye, who actually loved his win, great player and all that. It would piss me off if he won both of them when Justin Rose needs to win an Open Championship to cap his career. Okay, I mean, he needs that. Nobody is more deserving of winning an Open Championship in this field than Justin Rose right now, cap a career. Man, we're going to go to the last
game. Got to
game.
get that next major for sure.
Yes, he is a 2 major player. Him and Scott. I believe in Rose a lot more than Scott.
I think Scott's done, man.
Okay, here's another guy who I think
wrong.
Yeah, I think Scott is happy to compete. Maybe he might win something a couple years down the road. I don't think it's going to be a major. I think his day's out. Cam Smith, I think it's going to be another sleeper that people are going to really love. Cam Smith also is usually around 100 to 190 to 1 at most books. DraftKings has him at 130 to 1. I think he is going to be bet and steamed down pretty good. So if you are a Cam Smith bettor, and I might, as soon as we sign off, I might put a little taste on him. Cam Smith 130 to 1 is a really good price because he's been playing. He's not back to the Cam Smith of 2022, was it? But at the same time, he's not 130 to 1 jabroni anymore at an Open Championship, which obviously he's a great fit at an Open Championship. So 130 to 1, I think I'm going to make that one of my first tastes. I haven't done it yet, but I think I'm going to do it like literally as soon as the show ends. And again, I don't think you're finding higher than 100 anywhere else. So 100.
Yeah, I was just looking at that. DK's got the 125, but everywhere else is 80 to 1. So if you like Cam Smith, go get him.
Woodland should have won the Scottish Open. Why the hell didn't he play that?
It certainly played, other than Tom Kim, it certainly played out with some Houston vibes for sure. Pat was definitely right on some of the leans on that.
I think there should be an asterisk next to Tom Kim's Scottish Open win that says without Gary Woodland in the field. It's not fucking legitimate to me, okay?
The sportsbook already paid me, so I'm okay with an asterisk.
You want to know what? Woodland's just been playing some great golf. He's receded a little bit. 175 to 1 there on Caesars.
That's a big number, man.
Yeah, just strictly on pedigree. The guy's won a major. Obviously, it was 100 years ago and all that. But he's just been playing some great golf overall. And 175 to 1 just seems insulting to me. I don't know if I love the fit here. But at the same time, 175 to 1. I don't really need to sell anybody on that. So he might be
taking a look at it. He finished T70 here in 2017. His best Open Championship finish is a T12 in 2016 at Troon. But yeah, I mean, this is like Jesper Svensson. Jesper Svensson was like my big guy last week. I loved him for first round leader. I liked his profile here, coming off 2 of his best PGA Tour starts. And guess what? He bombed. He finished T52 this week and sucked. Missed every putt that he took this week. But, you know, at that price, I'm willing to take a shot. And most times you're going to be wrong, but sometimes you're going to be right. And at Woodland, 30 points better than the next best market. It's a no-brainer if you've got a clear card.
Yep, just for a taste. This is not bet much to win. $10 wins you $1,700. That'd be huge. Keith Mitchell's another guy sticks out to me. Accurate driver of the ball. I think he's going to break through for a win. Is that breakthrough going to be at a major? That's really asking for a lot. But again, 200-1 for a guy who's been on pretty much on every leaderboard he's played in for the last 2 months. 200-1. Red is Bet Rivers actually has him at 200-1. I don't know if I'll do that because I don't want to have too many tastes. Kind of diminishes the thrill. But if you're a Keith Mitchell guy, he can play well here. 200-1.
Yeah, we talked about Keith Mitchell. He hasn't won since the Florida Swing in 2019. 3 missed cuts in his 3 Open Championship appearances. I'm fine if you want to take a stab, just not for me.
Yeah, like Corey Connors. Why is Corey Connors 60 points lower than Keith Mitchell? And that's not hating on Corey Connors. It has nothing to do with course fit and all that. Just look who's playing good golf this year. And Keith Mitchell's been a really good golfer this year. That putter switch is finally paying dividends. So, in fact, I just talked myself into that's another first taste I'm doing. And again, it'll probably be $5-10, but Keith Mitchell, 201 is just an insult to the Cardigan man. Okay. There's your boy Jordan, Matthew Jordan, 370-1 on DraftKings, 400-1. That was on Fanatics. God, I should have put my color chart next to me.
Yeah, it's Fanatics.
Okay. You guys already sold me. I'm tailing. And I've got one final name I put on, and we're talking 1,100-1 at DraftKings. Won an Open Championship. He is the Scotty Scheffler of the Senior Tour. Open Championship has a history of older guys making runs at titles. And he should be – the only reason he's that low is because he's on the Senior Tour. If he was a year younger, he probably would be about 200-1 because he was playing good golf on the PGA Tour, and then he jumped on the Senior Tour and he's dominating. 1,100-1. I'm in. Okay, and again, we're talking just $5 here, and I've got $5,000 in my pocket in another 7 days.
Can you do me a favor, Larry? If you make this bet,
yep.
Can you please bet him as top senior as well?
As soon as the market opens, I don't think that market's open yet.
I think if you're going to make that bet at 1,100-1, you have to make a equal or larger bet on top senior.
Yeah, and you got Padre, Clark. There's probably about 7 or 8 guys that are seniors.
Zach Johnson will be one of them. Coming off, he won this week at their senior something. I don't know. I'm not as in tune with the Senior Tour, but he did win this week. So
now, one other number to highlight is Homa. I'm not betting Homa. I don't like Homa. That said, if Homa's good again, which the jury's still out on that, but if Homa is good again, 175-1 on this course is a pretty good fit for him. And I know there are a lot of Homa backers out there. If you've been betting Homa for the last 3 or 4 weeks, I think you're obligated 175-1 to bet him on Bet Rivers. What do you think of Homa? You bet him 2 weeks ago, didn't you?
I bet him this week, single bullet at ISCO.
Oh, that's right. And that didn't work out too well, did it?
Did not work out well. Okay. I'm so disappointed because the profile and the tournament that he was coming into profiled so well for a good performance, and he kind of laid an egg. So I'll push back and disagree with you a little bit on that. I'm out on Homa this week. I will wait till another. I think we're going to start getting into these lesser fields, and that's where I'm going to go to Homa. I think his performance last week was enough to get the game going. He maybe had a little bit of setback at the ISCO, but he's got to come.
I'm not betting him because I don't like Homa, but
he's got to come all the way over tomorrow, and get acclimated in 3 days. Now, Cam Young has
14
been
podcasts before then, probably.
Cam Young's been outspoken in this, and I love that Cam Young didn't play the Scottish this week. I'm sure Cam Young spent some time with his family, took a little time, got over here early, and is getting reps in, getting ready for this 4th major. And that's why I love Cam Young here more than anywhere else this year.
I will agree with you that he needed a mental break more than a physical break. Just because not only did he win a couple tournaments, but all of a sudden became a star. Like if you just look at the advertising of the PGA Tour and all that, all of a sudden he is like first page guy, one of the first 5 guys they list of any tournament he plays. And I think that was a little draining to him because he's also playing incredible golf. So a reboot. Now that I'm not terribly high on him. Like if he were his normal 22-1 odds, I wouldn't bet him. But the game is the game. The open history, he has it. And he's entering auto bet territory back on him. So I do agree with you in that regard. It's a reboot. Now, do you have anybody else down the board or whatever that you are?
No, I think I'm pretty done now. Honestly, I think I'm going to go Fitzpatrick, and I think I'm going to add Matthew Jordan, and I'm going to put $10 on Rose and England as a late bonus bet.
The one thing I want to get back to here, though, just putting on this is I do think on Sunday, look at these guys, and I'm not saying any one specific guy. There are going to be 2 or 3 of these guys involved in the last 5 groups who have a plausible chance when you wake up Sunday morning watching the Open Championship. So I am heavily encouraging everybody, not a ton of money, but do build out the back of your card more like a regular event than a typical major where usually you're just looking top of the board and maybe you might pick a guy. I do think there's going to be a lot of names nobody expected on there. And again, we're talking $5-10 or whatever your budget is. So we're talking small amounts to have really fun sweats. I'm going to have about 3 or 4 of these guys. Cam Smith is the one guy here, and Mitchell are 2 of the guys here I'm going to be betting. So I'm just encouraging everybody. Pick your guy, and there's other guys even down lower. Because I actually cut it off at 150 and just threw in a few extra names. There's a bunch of guys in the 160s, 170s.
There's a dozen guys we could pick in the 200s and 300s that would be fun bets, but you've got to limit it at some point.
It's like you picture in your mind at Shinnecock, can this guy win Shinnecock? And it was really hard to get there on players too far down the line. I can close my eyes and say, can this guy win if everything goes right? And there's a lot of guys on there who, again, have a plausible chance. And obviously, each way market, you might want to go there as well. But like I said, just have a fuller card for this than you normally would at a major is my advice. So before we
and Links Golf plays into it. Look at this week's tournament. Keita Nakajima finished T3. Johnny Kiefer finished T3. Michael Thorbjornsen finished T7. Victor Perez popped at T9. It's going to happen. There's always guys that are outliers that are going to make runs.
Yeah, because Links is about bounces. And even the best player in the world there's going to be variance. It's how you handle bad bounces versus avoiding the bad bounces is what makes you a good links player. The creativity you show from being in these weird jams, and that just opens up the field to, strange things happening. But let's go over what was Louis' 3 picks, so we don't repeat them.
Louis picked Fitz, Tom Kim, and Hatton.
Yep, I had Fitzy and Hatton were 2 of my top 3.
We're gonna have a little hard time here for sure.
Okay, I'm gonna go first, and this is more based on futures because Tips Checker normally there's not future market, so it's everybody starting from scratch each week. There's so many guys who bet futures, and if you're on golf Twitter a lot, and you follow along, you see guys saying, "Oh my God, you can get Fitzy at 40-1." I think that was like sometime before the Masters, or 60-1 or something. So people just piled on with Fitzy.
Yeah, and Pat gets credit for that. Pat did a futures show before the season started and got a lot of those Fitzy futures. So he'll definitely have some plays on that.
Yeah, so I definitely – so I'm going to say based on that, Chris Gotterup. After he won – what was his second win? Or his first win was at Sony in the win. And there was just all kinds of chatter, and his number was really good. That's when I got him, and I think I got him at 61 or I can't remember. So I think there's just a lot of futures out there of Gotterup. And then obviously he's won 3 times. And his number, I think there's going to be people still betting him at 30-1 this week. So I'm going to say Gotterup is going to make the Tips Checker. And by the way, if you're new to watch the show, Golf Tips Checker, Andy, he runs it on Twitter. It's a fun way to follow everybody out there. We all post our picks. We send them to Golf Ticket Checker. He compiles them, and the pie chart, the magical pie chart that comes out Tuesday night, shows who everybody's picking. It's both fun, but it's also informative. If you're tracking odds, if you play DFS and all that, it's actually a very useful tool to have to know what the market's doing, because it does, in some regards, reflect the market. In some regards. You're never going to see Scheffler or Rory up here because none of us pile on to the super chalky guys. But once you get down the board, like who's going to be the popular guy in that second tier, and we all agreed, Louis picked him, Fitzy. So follow along, and if you want to be part of it, reach out to him and sign up, and you can be part of the Golf Tips Checker community on Twitter. So I said him, you picked 2 guys now. I said
and just to summarize, last week we went 5-3, not our best week. Kenny had taken Reed. He didn't land. Brendan didn't land. Alex Fitzpatrick surprisingly didn't land.
Yeah, that surprised me.
I was really shocked, but we hit Tom Kim. Højgaard was a hit. Wrighton was a hit. Matt Fitzpatrick was a hit. And Kitayama landed on the board. So we went 5-3. Not our best week, not our worst week, but we did hit the winner, which is why we're here as well.
Yep.
I mean, I think that's a super helpful trend in this. I'm going to lead off with Henley as my first pick at 55. And then I'll go Clark. I don't really love where he's at now, but I think there's enough future steam on him where he's going to hit the tips chart. And he's got
I bet his numbers were pounded when he was, well, I mean, what Louis got him at 125, you got in at 80, was it?
I got him at 90, yeah.
90, okay. So, okay, I'm going to go, and I actually mentioned it when we were going over it. I think the smart guy, wise guy pick of the week is going to be Cam Smith at 130. Even at 100, I think a lot of people are going to gravitate around him. People think he's flying under the radar. I don't think he is flying under the radar. And then my next pick is going to be Rose. I think people have made futures on him back. I think he was like 60 at the beginning of the year. And if he's anywhere near in the high 30s and 40s, he just is like a good value versus the guys who are in the late 20s, in my opinion. Like Rosie versus Xander. Do I think Xander's more likely to win the Open? Most people would think Xander's more likely to win the Open. Is he 60% more likely to win the Open? I don't think anybody's going to get to that point. So I think Rosie will be my third pick.
Where do you have Minwoo showing up on this? I'm trying to peek at the slides.
That's a good question.
I got it. I added it.
Okay.
Minwoo's at 70.
Yeah, I wonder, though, with his performance today, I wonder where he's going to be at now.
Yeah. And even I showed him at 78 on the DK update. I'm between Minwoo and Cam Young, just from a future standpoint. I'm going to go with the recent form with Minwoo. Because even at 78, he's going to slide to what, 66 maybe. So we'll close it out with Minwoo.
Okay. So that's 9 guys we got, and out of the 8 or 9.
Yeah, Louis made it hard for us with
Louis
3 guys out the gate.
Yep, absolutely, son of a bitch. Okay, all right. Thanks everybody for tuning in to the show.
We got one more thing, Larry.
Oh yes,
we got Corrales next week, and you need to talk about a certain golfer.
Yes, let's go to the double screen. This is single bullet week. I can't believe how excited I am going to be to betting Toasty. There we go. The sun's been blaring in for the last half hour. I should have put a curtain up. But Alejandro Toasty, I'm going to be betting him at double-digit odds. He is going to be below 100 to 1 odds, and I've been betting him 800 to 1 for last year. I think he's going to come off about 80. But you want to know what? Form is great. Played great here last year. Single bullet. I'm going to predict when I wake up in the morning, I'm going to be able to get him at 80. It's going to be the best number out there. So if you're
a you had texted me on this, and I had said 100 at first, and he might be. It's just not the strongest field, and I didn't realize he had such a strong finish last year. I think if we get 80, I'm certainly going to jump on it. Will not be single bullet. I've done my single bullet for a while. There's a lot of great guys in this field. Let me I had it pulled up. Bow Shoes in this field. Blades is in this field. Jaeger's back in this field. There's some Kevin Roy, one of my guys, is in this field. It's going to be a fun week.
You're listening to a lot of guys that are playing this week at the ISCO well.
Yeah, a good peek at our future Challenger Series to be named at a later date. It'll be a fun field, but I will be joining on Toasty as long as he's 66 or above. I think that's the worst number we'll get.
66 would hurt. I'm betting it either way. He can open at like 10-1. I'm pot committed on that guy. Okay, there's no way I'm missing out on the coronation of Toasty.
And if he opens at 66, we'll just go to the 3-place market.
Okay. If he opens at 66, I don't mind. I'm betting it either way. So he is. Hopefully the books aren't listening, or they're going to squeeze me out. But he is just auto bet. He's winning next week. God damn it! It's his destiny. So all right. So next week is what tournament? The Rocket Mortgage, right? Or is it 3M?
Sorry. I think it is 3M first and then Rocket, but I will have 3M, then Rocket, then Wyndham.
Okay. Thanks for watching, everybody. If you're still watching here, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Jim, we probably should say that at the beginning of the show. Please subscribe. Also, it's only on YouTube this week, which means we need your help getting the word out. If you could retweet the link when it's posted, that's posted on Twitter, it'd help us out because the YouTube page, we only got like 50 subscribers. We just started it up. So it makes it a lot more difficult to get the word out. But next week, we'll see everybody, and good luck with your pick.
Yeah, let's not rush out. Let's hope Lucas Glover can close it out at ISCO for you, Larry, and my live tail. And I've got Ross Steelman at the KFT at the Blue Championship. So let's hope we could get 2 more winners this week, and we'll be running. I
will definitely be victory lapping that one on Twitter when it happens. So, all right, thanks for tuning in, everybody. We are out of here and recording.